What do you say, everybody? Welcome to Roll Tide Pods, Disrupt the Media. This is Elephant in the Room, and we got a great show lined up for you today. But before we go there, let me remind you that we're brought to you by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Use the promo code NEXTROUND to get half off of up to $1,000 price match when you make your initial wager. And you got a lot of things going on right now in the world of sports, college basketball. After Alabama had that emotional overtime win against Florida, they got a big game coming up against Kentucky. You've got NBA basketball. You've got baseball. Yep. Major League Baseball. Actually, spring training has started. We have games. And NASCAR, which has been great, just had Daytona. But all that stuff is available at MyBookie. Maybe you do a parlay. I know a lot of you guys enjoy that as well. And if you need any help with it, don't forget about Lance's Lock. Our friend Lance Taylor, obviously lanceslock.com. They help you get that information out there. He throws those picks out, and maybe you can ride a heater with him. All right, guys, it's always great to see former national championship quarterback and my partner here on Elephant in the Room, Jake Coker, and we got another national champion in the house, and Jimmy Carroll. Roll Tide, everybody! Roll Tide. Man, this is a lot. I feel like there's generations of championships here.
I know. Well, you know, I've gotten to know Jimmy through my dad over the last 10 years, or no, it's probably been, we met probably 5 years ago. 6 years ago?
6 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A-Club golf tournament, Magnolia Grove.
Right.
I think, was that the one that Ray Perkins fell out in?
Yes.
That was one heck of a meeting, wasn't it?
What happened? I got a Ray Perkins story.
Exciting. Ray caused he wanted to be the center of attention.
Okay.
And, no, really, Ray was having some problems with his heart, and that was just a warning sign that he was trying to move a string or a rope barrier and ran over it with his golf cart, and he was trying to pull it out, and he fell out. We had to call the paramedics and rush him to the hospital, and he had a pacemaker installed.
Oh wow!
Well, do you remember when? Remember it was Galen McCullough and me. We rode up on the golf cart.
Right.
Galen walked up to him and he said, "Ray, are you dizzy? Are you a little lightheaded?" And Ray looked at him and goes, "Well, what the hell do you think?"
Well, Ray was having. Galen had looked at him at breakfast that morning.
Yeah, because he was lightheaded walking up the stairs, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we got him passed, but yeah, that was an interesting couple of days with Ray in the hospital.
Yeah.
Did you play with Ray Perkins?
Yes, he and I were freshmen together.
Oh wow!
And Ray had these very serious head injury during spring football in the spring of '63. So he redshirted in '63, and Ray and I were roommates.
Really?
In college.
Do you remember? Do you remember Thompson? His wife was something Thompson, right? Right? Am I getting this right?
I'm not sure.
I'm from Baltimore, and Chuck Thompson was our play-by-play broadcaster, but he was the play-by-play guy for the Colts. And I think his daughter was one of Ray Perkins' wives or something. Maybe he had kids with him.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. But I know that's why he always talked to me. The guy's a Hall of Famer, and when he found out I went to Alabama, I was like his guy.
Yeah.
You know,
knocked out or knocked a few doors open for you.
It did. Well, yeah. I mean, when you got a guy, one of the best play-by-play guys of all time, Colts and Orioles, calling you back, you know, telling you Roll Tide, and then like my voicemail would be his voice. You know, back then it wasn't these things. It was like the answering machine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, this is Chuck Thompson. And the whole thing would rattle, you know.
Yeah. You had so when you got there in '62, who all was in your recruiting class? Because I want to say when we talked, I want to say the last time we talked, you were telling me a few Scott Hunter stories, but you told me about you played with the Snake and then Joe Namath as well, right?
And Steve Sloan.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, those three.
Legends right there.
That was like the Mac Tua.
Yeah.
Bryce.
Who was first? Joe? Okay.
Joe came in. Joe was
So what was that like?
Joe was freshman in '61. And he started in '62 and '3, and then was injured in '64, but came back and led us to a victory against Texas, which they didn't give us. So that's a whole nother story. But
you might have to dive into that one because I'm interested now.
well, Joe ran a quarterback sneak. We were behind 21-17.
Mm-hmm.
Late in the fourth quarter, and Joe ran a quarterback sneak, and one official came running in from the side signaling touchdown. They huddled and they ruled it was on fourth down, so we lost the ball game.
Man,
was it back?
They didn't have instant replay.
No, they didn't.
They didn't. They weren't going to go to that, but we didn't play real well. And like I said, Joe was hurt, and Steve had done a great job of filling in for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Steve had a pretty good NFL career, didn't he?
And
but he was. If not, I know he coached afterwards.
He coached afterwards, and did a good job. But Stabler was the one that you had to be there.
Yeah. On and off the field, huh?
On and off the field. Stabler was unique. Great athlete.
Yeah. The funny thing about him though is it seems like whoever had any interaction with Kenny Stabler, no matter what the off-field story was, it seemed like everybody loved him.
I loved him. Worked with him at Crimson Tide Sports Network.
You couldn't help but like him.
Yeah, just a genuine, straightforward guy, huh?
He was unique. One of a kind.
Did he like to have as much fun back then as he did when I knew him?
I think so. I think he developed that early.
No, did he? Did you ever go out with him?
A time or two. I'll never forget. I saw him one night. It was after we had played, and I was ran into him in Gulf Shores. So,
Fort Bama?
Y'all played in Tuscaloosa, and y'all were in Gulf
Shores?
No,
this is after we both out of college.
Oh, I got you.
And I happened to be in Gulf Shores and ran into Kenny, and we toured some sites, listened to some music. We made friends with Jimmy Buffett because Buffett was a
what was that like? He used to live in this neighborhood.
He's a big Jimmy Buffett guy.
Well, he lived in Montrose. Like he bought his family a house like right down here, a little bit closer to the water than us, but we're not far from it.
Yeah,
But Kenny, we stayed up, and I told Kenny, I said, Kenny, the sun's about to come up. I need to go in and rest. He said, no, Jimmy, we just ran out of the dark. I said, okay.
Was he still in the NFL when you guys ran out of dark?
Oh yeah. That didn't bother him. It didn't bother him. He was a unique guy.
When you're still talking about somebody all these years later, it shows you what a legend. I mean, when I walk into the Floribama and they say, that's where he used to sit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, you've really got to accomplish that, because there's a lot of people that have come through the Floribama, and I'm talking about Jimmy Buffett and who knows who else.
Oh yeah,
I'd say Snake is probably the guy that is remembered most from the Floribama.
I mean, yeah. Oh, for the Floribama,
if you had a Floribama like Mount Rushmore,
as far as Alabama legendary players too,
or
it's
just
probably
people.
him and Joe Namath. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. That too.
It's kind of hard to believe they came in the same 2-3 years.
Yeah, it was something. And that was a great time. I got to figuring out the 3 years I played. We only played 11. Counting the bowl game, we played 11 games. My bunch, the group I graduated with, when we were 30, we won 30, lost 2, and tied 1.
I saw that. I looked that up yesterday. Unbelievable.
And what is unique about the whole thing, we lost the 2 games we lost were back-to-back.
Was that Texas and
Texas was the last game, the bowl game in '64, and then we opened with Georgia. I think that was Vince Dooley's second year as head coach at Georgia, and they beat us 18-17.
Jeez.
And we paid dearly for both losses.
How tough was Bear Bryant on you when you lost?
Coach was very demanding. I'll put it that way. I'll not say tough.
Yeah.
He was demanding, and he had the type personality. He was a big man, and you thought that only John Wayne could portray him in a movie.
Wow.
That's how. I never heard Coach Bryant walk into a room and say, "Let me have your attention."
He had it.
When the hair on the back of your neck when we were in a meeting, you knew when he was near because the hair would stand up on the back of your neck, and Coach Bryant would come in and fool with his watch, and he must have had I don't know how many watches, what time you got? I'm a little early, but I'll get started anyway. And we'd go through our meeting. But I never heard him say, "Let me have your attention."
Was Saban like that? Did your neck hair come up when he walked
when
in?
he walked, everybody everybody shut up. He put the glasses on and had the notebook in his hand, or the the paper that he was going to take all his speaking points from. And if you were still loud and he walked in, you were in a lot of trouble.
How about you guys played for 2 of the best coaches of all time? Maybe the 2 best. And they were both Alabama guys, right?
I don't think.
No, not even a debate, huh, Jimmy?
There's no debate. And people ask me different times as I'm going around, do you think Coach Bryant was upset that Coach Saban broke his record for the national championships? And my response to that is always, Coach Bryant loved the University of Alabama. As long as Saban, he would give him the one at LSU. He would count that one. That'd be a freebie for him. But he won the rest of them at the University of Alabama. Mm-hmm. And Coach Bryant loved the University of Alabama. And he was probably Coach Saban's biggest cheerleader in heaven.
Yeah. I would have, of course, I never met him or knew his philosophy, but a guy that builds a winning culture like that has to pretty much think that way,
Yeah, and they had similarities. They were different people. I got to thinking, take that 60 years ago, 1964. That's most of the people listening to this podcast weren't even alive.
I wasn't.
But I love the stories. I know the people.
Yeah.
you know.
But Coach Bryant there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
You built the culture. You chose the people. You recruited hard. You had a plan.
Yeah.
And you worked the plan. And you demanded things. Coach Saban had the process. Coach Bryant had the Bryant plan.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very similar, and they were both very sound.
How? I know you were there when. I mean, how long had Coach Bryant been there when you got on campus?
He came in '58.
Okay.
1958.
So he had been there for about 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years, yes, and we had won the national championship in 1961.
Okay. So it didn't take long for him.
Didn't take long. That was part of his plan.
And who was the powerhouses back then? Were what? Notre Dame, Texas, Alabama, and
Texas,
Georgia
Notre Dame, Michigan State.
You like Notre Dame?
It's you over there.
Next question.
Jimmy, I got to show you these, man. I brought these in right here. I've got like a collection of antique, Alabama glasses. How come you're not on this one right here? Do you remember when these came out?
These are all the coaches.
Oh, they were the coaches.
That's the coaches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Snellenberger right there.
Oh yeah.
Howard Snellenberger.
1-1 at Miami.
Yeah.
Do you have these at your house?
No, that's crazy.
Yeah. I just was like, yeah, these are great. Look, are those your championships right there?
These 61, 64, 65. Yeah.
Wow.
And then, of course, 66 was the missing rank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've heard about this one.
That Keith Donovan wrote the book about and did a wonderful job. That we felt like we were undefeated, untied.
And that was the Notre Dame year.
Notre Dame and Michigan State fought to a 10-10 tie. And at the end of the game, it seemed like neither one of them wanted to try to win the game. They were just trying to keep from losing.
Wow.
And I know Coach Bryant in a national publication, maybe Sports Illustrated, with, I can't remember the guy's name, the good writer, said Coach Bryant said, I wonder what that tells our guys that are fighting in Vietnam, that you play for a tie.
Whew. Wow.
Created quite a stir.
Yeah, think about what he would have, his opinion on today's day and age.
Oh, man.
Jake, you love participation trophies, don't you?
I can't imagine. Can you imagine Coach Bryant just recruiting kids nowadays? I mean,
you guys would have gotten rich on the NILs.
They'd be the toughest team in America.
Yeah.
I just, it makes me sad in a way that, of course, he deserves it, but I think the state of college football today with the transfer portal, NIL, the movement and the different things that I think that may have played a big role in Coach Saban retiring.
Oh, yeah. Well, every time I saw him since the NIL was put into motion, that was one thing that always came up, and he wasn't, speaking too positively of the whole process, which, I mean, who is? And, I think it's kind of like he said, there's a way to reward players, but doing it in a way that, involves recruiting them to get to your school is not the way,
Right.
I mean, we've said it over and over again. If it was implemented in a way where the Bryce Youngs, the Will Andersons, the guys who are committed to the university benefit from it, then, that's one thing. But to pay these kids that have never proved a thing on the field outside of, being good in high school, which is great, but you haven't done anything for the university you represent yet. I mean, we've gotten into an insane space when it comes to NIL.
Yeah.
I worry about the young people, the athletes. What are they learning? If they're not able to play at Alabama and they don't want to wait their turn,
Mm-hmm.
do you just leave? You go someplace else.
I mean, I know there's been, I've talked to a few guys up there and I've heard, a lot of them are getting paid even with, the bad attitudes and, just feeling sorry for themselves and not, really understanding what it takes to start on the D1 level, especially in Alabama,
right,
or Florida State or anywhere else. I mean, if you're not the 5-star guy that's head and shoulders above everybody else, and it's obvious that you should be playing, the standard D1 guy, you're going to have to get there for a year and realize you're not what you were in high school, and that's a big fish in a small pond. And it takes some understanding of and some humbling, and that's the same when I got out of football. I don't know how it was for you, but when I got out of football, I mean, you realize you got to pick it up and figure it out just like you did as a freshman in college, whenever you're starting something new.
That's how it is for everybody.
Oh, yeah, it's humbling everywhere.
Yeah. Anything that's worth having, I mean, you're going to have to go through.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's just, there's a pecking order, and sometimes kids are young people. I won't call them kids. Young people mature at different rates. Some are maybe ready to play as a freshman.
Oh yeah.
Some are not until maybe they go through a freshman year, redshirt freshman year, and then a freshman year, and then they're ready to play. I didn't play regular and start till I was a junior, and that was with the redshirt year. But we had some good football players.
Yeah, you loved Alabama too,
and you got to look where you come from. What did you have?
Yeah.
And do you have anything to go back to?
Yeah.
And I made up my mind that, the old saying, they can kill you, but they can't eat you. But they can chew on you hard.
Yeah. Never heard that one, but that's great logic.
But I didn't have any place to go. That was my way out. That was my way to provide for me and my family.
Yeah.
That I had my chance.
Yeah. Long term, you couldn't do any wrong by making that decision.
No. And it worked out great, but I can't say I never thought about leaving, but the reality hit me. I'm gonna go back, and everybody's they'll see me walking, and I can hear them whispering behind my back. Yeah, he couldn't make it.
Yeah,
he's quit.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what drives everybody. I mean, you guys in football, me in broadcasting.
Oh yeah,
the naysayers, man.
Oh yeah.
Negativity is, you don't have to look far to find it.
No, but you know what? If you can turn it into a motivating factor, you can make really, you can make it a good thing. Well, let me ask you about what it was like. You mentioned, obviously Broadway Joe, and did you realize at the time that this guy was going to be like the biggest star in the NFL one day? I heard him talking about Coach Bryant being on his ass a lot. I mean, like
Yeah.
him being in trouble a lot, and all that. What was that experience like for you being his teammate and, and him kind of being the quarterback of the University of Alabama?
Well, Joe was a star. There was no doubt about that.
Right.
And
Did Coach Bryant let him wear the fur jacket on the sideline?
no, Joe was,
I like that jacket though.
Joe wasn't that far out. And he wore the pointed toed shoes and some weird things, but he didn't have a fur jacket. But
Did you guys think everybody from up north was like him?
well, Joe was just one of the guys.
Was he?
He fit in. He was there.
Well, I met him I guess it was last spring, and I was playing in a golf tournament, and he was up there playing. This was one of the alumni tournaments, and that was the first time I had met him, and I didn't even introduce myself, and he was like, "Jake, how you doing, man?"
I hope you got an autograph.
Just nah.
Come on,
I'm not a
Jake.
big autograph guy.
Come on, man. Billy Williams. You know Billy Williams, Billy Cubs Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I know Billy, and Billy's like, I wish I would have gotten an autograph of all these guys, Rogers Hornsby and all these guys that he knew. And if Billy's saying that, Ryan Sandberg told me his first All-Star game, he just went and got everybody's autograph. Your wallet will appreciate that one day.
No, I mean, I told you, Lyle Kane, after we won the national championship in 2015, I signed the ball and it had all the Alabama, former Alabama quarterbacks who've ever won a national championship at Alabama.
Amazing.
So I think his dad had that ball and he gave it to him, and then
Golly, man.
he continued the tradition on that ball with all the rest of us. And,
We need to have him on and talk about the ball.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild.
That's a whole show right there.
But I mean, when I signed it, I was looking at all those names on there. I was like, it's just crazy to put your name right there with them. It was
So
just
Namath
wild.
won a championship and Snake won a championship. And Jake Coker. It's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome, Jake.
And Steve Sloan.
And Steve Sloan.
I
think I met Coach Sloan. He was the athletic director at UTC. He's that guy's like a legend in college athletics.
Yeah.
Really one of the great people in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, you always, as an Alabama fan, you hear that name and there's a lot of weight with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it is just, everybody's always going to ask about Joe and Kenny.
Yeah. And Coker. You guys in there.
Jake,
How you doing over there? You good? Or
I'm good.
I got to thinking about being here with you today after we had talked, and the first thing that came up in my mind, I visualized those guys, a couple of guys tackling you after the championship game, after you had taken the final knee, and you were got the picture of you. They're tackling you. You're on the ground. You got the football, and you have the biggest smile on your face I have ever seen.
Did you keep the ball?
Yeah, it's at my mom's house.
You know what? I know where the 92 national championship last ball is.
Jay's house?
Nope. One of the trainers has it.
Well,
he was the last guy with the ball.
Yeah. The thing about that is, and it's kind of, I mean, it was one of those moments where it's just so, you still don't even believe it. You feel like you're in a dream. I know you grew up pulling for Alabama, and I mean, I grew up pretending to be, Alabama quarterbacks back in the day.
Right. Tyler Watts. Was it Tyler Watts? You were like doing
Tyler Watts, Andrew Zal.
doing the fake handoff and then drop it back. Yeah, Zal. I was in school back then, Jimmy. That tells you how old I am.
Yeah.
But, it was even one thing that I kind of thought about, even when I was at Florida State. I mean, just that homey feel of Alabama, and it was something I kind of struggled with while I was at Florida State, because I was like, Florida State offered me first, and then I was committed because that was my first big time offer out of high school, and Alabama hadn't offered me yet, and they had told me that if another quarterback committed, I'd lose my spot, and so I committed, and then as soon as I commit, Alabama offers me. And two things there. I'm thinking, I've got a chip on my shoulder that Alabama didn't offer me first, as an 18-year-old idiot, not realizing that these coaches they're doing their best, and they're, trying to offer where they see fit. And I do not, even Coach Saban will probably admit this, but when Jimbo Fisher offers a quarterback, he's all in at that point because he believes and trusts Coach Fisher so much. But they offered me first, I committed, but also I felt like if I was going to commit, then that was going to mean something, and I wasn't going to waver on that.
Yeah.
And
you give your word, though. I
didn't want to be the guy that was playing with hats on the table and making a scene and and
like you did, Jimmy, right? You put all the hats out on the table.
I didn't have that many hats. I only had
You had the important one. I know that.
Yeah. You had the right hat.
4 or 5. I really thought about going to Georgia.
Really?
Because Georgia recruited me and offered me first. And so then
who was the coach at Georgia at this point?
It was before Dooley. It was Griffith.
Okay.
Griffith, because Wally Butts had retired.
He's got his name on the stadium, doesn't he? Griffith?
No.
Am I wrong? No,
it's Sanford State.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
At Georgia.
There is a Griffith somewhere, though.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the building that's next to it or something, maybe.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm mistaking it for
Where
Georgia.
did I know the name? Who is Ben Hill Griffith?
That's right. That's what I'm thinking of. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Ben Hill Griffith.
You guys talk. I'll do it.
No, but and then but to get to where I was going, growing up watching Alabama and all that happening during recruiting, you go through hell your first year wherever you are.
Florida.
That's right.
Yeah, they're gonna hate you in Georgia for that.
When we played in Sanford Stadium, it was like playing Georgia Southern. So
I was there. Yeah. My boots are still perfect. My brand new boots when he played, and we got in a deluge. I had to do the Bama post game, walk through all the rain, and those boots fit like a glove today. Still love them.
But my experience at Florida State, you'd see Alabama winning national championships, and there's still a piece of your heart with that team when you watch them,
right?
And I love Florida State, but you definitely have that feeling that, man, you hear Sweet Home Alabama. I know it sounds goofy, but you hear Sweet Home Alabama and all these things that take you back home, and you're watching Alabama play, and there's just a different kind of pride, I guess, in the crimson helmet and the uniform and all that.
And just walking around on that campus.
Yeah, that's right. Just I don't know, just to love that it's part of the culture down here.
Look, my cousin just got in, and he called me, and he my cousin's grandson, and they said he called. He got into Texas, and he's got into all these schools, and then I'm like, I don't want to influence this guy's life, but don't ask me about Alabama. You know what I mean?
Unless you want to go there.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, you really love it there. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I love it there. It's the best place. I wouldn't want it to have gone anywhere else but Alabama.
But y'all play, so Jimmy, did y'all play in Birmingham?
Played in Birmingham, big games.
Legion Field?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I was there for that too, Jake.
It was,
Legion Field.
yeah, while I was there, at one point in time, Bryant Denny Stadium, it was Denny Stadium then, had
Bleachers?
grandstand
Oh,
and
yeah.
bleachers in the end zones. And then in 1966, we opened the stadium, and it was a complete bowl on the lower level. And we would seat about 60,000, but we could seat 74,000 in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And
What was the loudest, biggest game y'all played in Birmingham?
Tennessee,
Tennessee always.
Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn was split 50-50.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And so it was always exciting.
Did y'all lose to them?
We beat them 21-14 in '64. We beat them. Oh, I got it someplace. We beat them 31-3 or something in '65, and then we mashed them and beat them 34-0 or something in '66.
Oh, excellent. I know Jake
So-
beat him too. That's
So we beat them
Yeah.
every year. Now we lost to them in '63.
3-1's not too bad.
Well, but since I was a redshirt,
you weren't
I
out
don't
on that field.
I didn't go into. I didn't
We don't count
cross
that one
the
against
chalk.
you.
I didn't cross the chalk and go into the arena.
You're not going to take responsibility.
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
take responsibility for that. But,
Did you? Was Goose Tree there? The guy that started the cigar thing? Tell me about that guy.
Coach Goose Tree. You know, he was a Tennessee
I
grad.
know he was. Yeah.
Great man, good man. Just talk with that old Tennessee twang. What's wrong with you? You think you hurt? And in Alabama back then, there was a big difference in being hurt and being injured
Mm-hmm.
because something was hurting all the time. But you just went through it. And I'll never forget my freshman year. I was in there getting taped, and during spring training, and you get beat up and bruised up and all. And Goose Tree was doing something, and he said, "Today's your lucky day." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, Coach Bryant's gonna check your guts today." And I said, "Whoa!" And I had heard about the gut checks. Your day was coming. Freshman moving to a sophomore, and they were going to be. It was going to get hairy. That's then, and if you passed, you were okay. If you failed, you may be forgotten. And I was very appreciative of the heads up because even I did things I didn't know I could do.
What did the gut checking consist of?
Oh, just running plays and it just general practice.
He just was on
But
you the whole time.
they were on you. The coaches were on you, and Coach Bryant was watching. See how you responded.
And you played center all 4 years at Alabama, right?
I played a lot of guard my junior year
Okay.
because we had another guy that was pretty good offensive center
Uh-huh.
named Paul Crane.
Oh yeah.
But Crane also played defense. So, and then like the second ball game of the year, Jimmy Fuller was our starting strong side guard. He separated his shoulder. So he was out. So I moved over and played guard. And Crane would start at center, I would be at guard. And then when Crane would go to defense, I'd move over and play offensive center.
Okay.
So we had about 14 to 15 guys that were on, quote, our red team, our first offensive team. I played center, guard, and could play strong side tackle if necessary. Strong side, and then Bruce Stevens played guard when I played center, and Johnny Calvert could play center and guard, and then we had a guy named Bird Williams that could play weak side tackle, weak side guard, and center. So we put spare parts in. We didn't play as a whole team, as a unit.
Yeah.
And then we had different backs. We'd had 3 or 4 backs instead of two.
I don't think we could do that today. I don't think guys could play.
Yeah, but you know what though? If that's the way that you came up playing, though, and think about it, you could play quarterback, but I bet you could play tight end. You know,
I could have run the correct routes.
How were your hands?
I can catch pretty good.
I believe that, man. I mean, like, you know, it's just like it's like watching Ohtani play in baseball. If we let guys hit and pitch, we'd probably have more guys doing it.
Yeah.
You know, you played both sides of the ball, right? Didn't you at the beginning of your Alabama career?
62 and 63, we played both ways. And then 64, we went to
just doing
offense, defense.
When you're going through these title runs that you guys had, do you realize like what a big deal it is? Is it the same way it is now where like these guys are going on their run and, you know, and because I went to all these games. I was talking about it with Mike Johnson today, how I don't want to ever sit next to him at a game again. And I'm sitting next to, you know, he was an All-American like you on the offensive line, but he's very physical when you sit next to him in the stands.
Yeah.
He likes to slap you on the back a lot.
Sitting next to a bear.
every time he's throwing a touchdown, I'm getting pop.
It was when we won the national championship, it was a little different because we didn't have playoff games. So it was not instantaneous.
Right. You're just waiting for it to come out.
You gotta wait.
Yeah.
See, and the way you look at things, you say, "Boy, Alabama's lucky." And I said, "Yeah, I'd rather be lucky than good."
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm with you on that.
But see, in 64, I don't know what happened. Something had happened in 62 or 63 where they said, we're gonna vote on the national championship before the bowl games. See, Notre Dame didn't go to bowl games.
Right.
Michigan State had that deal and the Big Ten had a rule that they could not repeat to the Rose Bowl.
Really?
In consecutive years. So they said, we're going to vote before the bowl game. Well, Alabama's declared national champions by AP. We go to the bowl game, we lose. Texas. The next year, that spring, they say, we're not going to have that happen again. We're going to wait till after the bowl games. Well, we're sitting there. We start out number 1, then we fall to number 3.
Because of the Georgia game?
No, this is 66. No, I'm confused. Time out. 60, we got to go to 65. Georgia, we don't come on till late in the year in 65.
Mm-hmm.
And Notre Dame and Michigan State played, or they didn't, but we win. Everything happens for us. It falls in line that everybody loses ahead of us and Nebraska. And then we kicked Nebraska pretty well in in the Orange Bowl that year.
Hmm.
Beat them 39-28.
Yeah, I've seen the highlights of that.
We threw tackle eligible passes.
Who was the quarterback on that team?
Sloan.
It was Sloan. Okay.
Sloan. And Coach Bryant said, we cannot beat them lining up jaw to jaw, cheek to cheek. We cannot do it. We're going to have to play like we're 2 touchdowns behind. So we passed from inside our 10-yard line. Whoop, he would go. We onside kicked and got it several times. And we wound up out-rushing them a whole lot, and they outweighed us. Their defensive front was stout. They outweighed us about 50 pounds a man.
Whew, jeez.
They had one guy, Wayne Malin, and was a nose guard. Walt Barnes was All-American tackle. Gosh, that Malin guy at nose guard, his arms were bigger than my legs. And
They're corn fed there.
But we kind of, we outquicked them.
Mm-hmm.
And then in '66, when Notre Dame, Michigan State tied and all, that was the best thing. We thought that was the best thing that could happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just worked out.
Was Sloan the kind of guy that when he came in, y'all kind of knew it was a steady hand? He's kind of a leader off the bat, and
he would probably have not been on that. He was a freshman when I was. I mean, we had 55 guys on scholarship as freshmen. 13 played out their eligibility. 13 guys were left, and out of that bunch was Paul Crane.
just because they quit or left,
They
couldn't
left,
handle it.
quit, left, whatever. Paul Crane, Steve Bowman, Jackie Sherrill,
Oh yeah,
David Ray, All-American flanker back, place kicker, Steve Sloan, Ray Perkins, myself, Jerry Duncan. Duncan was a halfback, running back from Sparta, North Carolina, But we had some more.
That's where my grandmother's from. Sparta, North Carolina. Yeah. Small town.
Jerry Duncan.
Graham, it raised me. Yeah. Made me really.
Jerry Duncan grew up. I think his dad had a dairy farm.
Really?
So you might want to check with some of your relatives.
No, I'd love to. She raised me. My best woman I ever knew in my life. Sparta, North Carolina. I've been there before. It's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, come up over a mountain and you're there,
Oh yeah.
But we had
When was Leroy playing?
Leroy was a senior in '62.
Okay. So your freshman year then?
Yeah.
Right?
I practiced against Leroy.
Oh, that must have been
Freshman
fun.
practiced against him.
A redshirt freshman too, huh? Was it your redshirt?
No, I was redshirted as a sophomore, but
Okay, I got you.
Freshman, we just
Well, how'd that go for you?
you learned a lot.
You killed him.
I mean, you think about on that team, across that offensive front, you had Leroy, Jimmy Sharp, Coach Sharp, Chink Wilson, Charlie Pell, who coached at Florida and Clemson, and I forget. And Bill Battle was the tight end.
How was he? And was he a pretty good player?
He was good. He was a really good player.
And he made it all the way through with Coach Bryant, huh?
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, he was the AD when I was at Alabama.
Oh, he did a great job. And Mal Moore was a senior in '62.
I've heard a lot of good stories about
Mal.
I love Mal.
Mal had more character in his little finger than most folks have in their whole body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
We were talking about I mean, the legacy that he's left at Alabama, both playing and then he's been the most influential AD probably to ever live just through the hiring of Coach Saban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, I know. I used
changed
to.
the state.
I worked with Wendell Hudson,
Mm.
and we would sit on the planes. And I've told Jake this. I had a fear of flying. I don't have it anymore. So Coach Hudson would bring me up and let me sit next to him and tell me. And his best friend was Mal. So I would hear all the. I'm like this. No. Back then, like this. And he made. I always liked Mal, but he made me a Mal super fan.
I'm trying to think. There were some great stories. I was, golly, what's his name? Wes. Golly, I know you know his dad. Wes. He played. He was an offensive lineman.
Wes Neighbors.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Wes Neighbors.
Yeah, Billy's son.
Yeah.
Wes was a player when I worked as associate AD at Alabama. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I had no idea. Wes is telling me some stories about when Mal was coaching up there. Him and a guy named Guy. What's his last name? He was telling me about how they kicked an onside kick one time, and Coach Bryant had told him, he said, "Do not line up and kick an onside kick. You better not do it." And all of a sudden, and they were like, "All right, this onside kick's going to work. We're just going to do it." And they did it, and it didn't work.
Oh, boy.
They said Coach Bryant came over and ripped their headsets off himself and started just dogging them right there on the sideline. He said his ear was red. He said he still regrets that to this day. I wish I could remember the guy's name. It was Guy something.
They thought they saw something on film.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
But yeah, it's crazy. I get the 60s, how many players, not only played and then had such an effect on Alabama football or the Alabama program as a whole after their career, And when you start talking about all these names, Ray, Mal, all these guys, I mean,
yeah,
it's incredible when you think about it. Just a small community of a lot of successful guys,
Yeah, Ray called me. I was a principal at a school in Birmingham, and Ray called and wanted me to come down and be his administrative. He had the role after Coach Bryant died. He was already named the head coach, and after Coach Bryant died, he wanted the athletic directorship also. So he got that. So he called me and wanted me to come down in June and be his administrator.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked for him for 4 years.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I was there through 1983 through 87. 87.
Did you have a lot of headaches with the players?
No, the players were great because Ray took care of all that.
Yeah.
I mean, they were his players. He let me know real quick they're my players. You don't fool with my players.
Yeah.
And Ray was more of he was a player's coach.
Right.
We would do things like we go to play in the Aloha Bowl in Honolulu. And so we charter an L-1011 or whatever the big plane was, and we go out there and we only take up half of it. Well, we sell seats to people on the other, so we discount our costs going out there. And when we got out there, they gave you per diem at the bowl games. and it's based on the local economy.
Oh boy, I lived in Hawaii. Expensive.
Yeah. So what we would do is we had a meeting at breakfast, and then the team would get together, and then they got lunch and dinner. They got cash, so you can imagine.
Oh yeah.
And
Hey, I had a few per diems in my day.
yeah, and they would find a McDonald's or some place where they could get some food, and yet then they put the money in their pocket. So
y'all were a lot smarter back then than we were in 2010.
You just blow it. The crazy thing is that when I lived in Hawaii, McDonald's had rice that most people got instead of French fries.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. But can you imagine that? Get your
No.
Big Mac and rice.
Would you have ever imagined Tuscaloosa is now what it is today in comparison to?
I get lost just thinking about going and everywhere you look there's condos.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
know,
right.
They're in front of Tuscaloosa High School. Wow.
It's changed so much even since I've
And
left.
I've not
Yeah.
even been back into the back part of the campus.
What blows me away is how big these fraternity houses and
Our house
sorority
got
houses
really
are.
big.
I mean, it's
I was a
crazy.
KA at Alabama, and our house went from boom to boom.
Yeah.
Oh, very
Well,
big
a lot
stuff.
of them moved out.
They moved down. We did. We moved down too.
Yeah,
A little bit
I thought
closer.
the KA
Bought
too.
somebody else's house and knocked it down and built the same exact house we had, but it looks like it's for giants.
That's
You know?
right. Oh man.
But yeah, that strip and all of that, and those different places. Wow.
So when you go to like the Denny Chimes and look at the handprints and stuff from your year, what's crazy is you're on there too. You know, like what does that mean to you?
It's I don't really go there. You know where I go?
Hopefully, Galette's.
No, I go by Gladys. I go to the entranceway into where off of University, where I guess the team comes in
Oh, the
Oh,
Walk
yeah.
of Champions.
and show different people. That's my name, right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
There's
that's
my
pretty
name.
cool.
There's my name. There's my name.
Yeah,
And they say, wow, and they take pictures,
yeah.
And I tell you, it was exciting for Kim last spring, but I will say I was nostalgic about it. But before the big A Club gathering on Friday night, we got there early, and they took us down into the dressing room
Uh-huh.
at the stadium. Wow.
It wasn't like that when you played.
No, it was up in the on the west side, southwest end zone, and we had wooden bleachers and a concrete floor
Yeah, right.
and some hanger pegs to hang your stuff on. We didn't have. God bless them. They deserve it. I hope those kids enjoy it, and I hope they appreciate it. And then that walk out through that tunnel.
Well, did you notice all the lockers have the number, and then each guy that wore that number underneath it in those lockers?
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, like, yeah, I mean, 14 it had every guy that wore number 14 prior to me, on my game day locker.
Really?
Yeah.
But it was
Pretty cool. You go in there.
That is pretty
and you get
awesome.
ready for a game, and you see that, and you're like, you're got to think about the history of
Yeah,
what
the legacy
you're about to
that it's
partake
there.
in.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what one thing that people forget, and sometimes you just have to do some research or read some books. Alabama won national championships before Coach Bryant got there.
Oh yeah, you're right. Frank
Wallace
Thomas,
Wade.
Wallace Wade. Yeah,
Frank Thomas.
yeah.
In fact, I got to thinking, sometimes you just think, well, I wonder how many, and I said, Auburn's been playing for 100 years, football. Over 110, maybe 110, who knows, and I think to myself, and I'm feeling cocky and whatever, and I'm thinking, they won 2 national championships.
You got that many.
I got that many
years.
in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I said, I wonder how many other people have done that. And dadgummit, there was a guy from Enterprise, my hometown, was on the 1925 and 1926 national championship.
How about
games
that?
in Alabama. James Goofy Bowden.
How about that?
He won 2 back-to-back years.
That's pretty wild.
And I'm thinking, wow.
Yeah.
You don't get too full of yourself.
No,
That's right.
Those boll weevils.
Boll Weevil Monument. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We used to pass there on the way. When I was at Alabama, we used to go to Panama
City.
And you'd go right through there, and they had a restaurant called Po Folks, which I mentioned on one of my other shows, and people got in there and said, "Hey, I love Po Folks too."
Yeah.
But
You guys ever eat at the Po Folks
it's
in
not there
Enterprise?
anymore.
It isn't?
They closed it.
Get out of here. You know what I would get there is chicken livers, which were delicious.
They had great chicken
sweet
livers.
tea, little mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Bring you back, huh?
I'm ready to go to City Cafe because that's where I get them from now.
Oh, City Cafe. Wow.
Did they have City Cafe in Northport when you guys were
I
around?
think they did, but you had to pay over there. You didn't have to pay when I went to if you went to Bryant Hall at the dorm.
No, yeah.
And it was
I've heard the food's good there.
we had good food there. Coach Bryant, that was one thing they did. That was a plush place. They took care of us.
That's great.
We had some rules.
Have you been to the new facility? And I say the new facility, I mean the facility since 2018 or 19.
I haven't seen it since they expanded it.
Oh my gosh, it is. I mean, we were spoiled when I was there. When I was at Florida State, man, I thought it was nice, and it was great. But I mean, I remember my first wake up moment was at Florida State. You get done working out, and they have these cartons of protein shakes just in a fridge in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
And you'd go over there and get one after you worked out, maybe 2 if you're trying to gain weight. And then I get to Alabama, and you get done working out, and they've got like 8 to 10 nutritionists coming up to you after you get done working out, asking you, what
can
you
they
want in your
make for
shake.
you?
You want peanut butter, you want strawberries, bananas.
Right.
I was like, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah. That's how the Cubs have kind of moved to that too.
Just to say, but they're doing it for, I mean,
At
there's 100
Alabama.
guys on scholarship. They're doing it, and then if you're on a weight gain plan or a weight loss plan, Miss Amy would put together what goes in your shake and what you eat for breakfast
How
after
about
you
that?
run.
You knew about she knew about the perimeters.
Wow.
We had a guy, and Alphonse Taylor played offensive line in Alabama when I was there. He was trying to lose weight at Alabama, and he told us, he was telling us his dieting plan, and he was talking about going to the store and shopping the perimeter because that's where all the healthy stuff is. Sounds like a basketball defense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But no, it's crazy and that's Coach Saban. I mean, I'm sure,
Yeah.
he was the genius behind not only on the field X's and O's, but perfecting every process that took place off the field too.
Yeah. I hear about things that they do that it just blows me away.
Was Coach Bryant pretty heavily involved off the field in terms of? I mean, I know, I'm sure nutrition wasn't like it is now. I'm sure they just tell you to eat more back then. I'm sure, but
yeah, we ate good, and we had training table, and of course, the big thing was on before the game on Thursday night. You got the twice baked potato because you did the carb load, and then we had a big potato and whatever, and it would have our pregame meal was a New York strip.
No, yeah,
I had one of those last night.
English peas.
Oh, good one.
And dry toast. And then we could either have coffee or hot tea.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever. But that was it.
Yeah.
And, of course, eating at 4 hours before kickoff or 4.5 hours. You're not gonna get any. It's just gonna keep your stomach from growling.
That's right.
Because the Thursday night and Friday nights were the big meals where you were gonna get the energy, and we'd have protein. And but yeah, we had we'd walk in, sit down at our place, and they would serve us.
What do you think the legacy of Bear Bryant is to you? We talk about Nick Saban all the time because Jake played for him, and I lived through that, But I remember coming to Alabama and hearing about Bear Bryant. It was like he was larger than life. You played for him.
Well,
what did he mean to you?
To me, you always hear the fear factor, like you mentioned. I mean, was he a guy you could approach and talk to, or was
after you played?
Mm-hmm.
He was great to sit down and talk to.
Really?
There was a fear factor, but there was also the fact that you did not want to disappoint him.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to please him. You wanted to do your job and contribute and be a winner in his eyes. So, yeah, I think it was more of not wanting to disappoint him because he had faith in us.
Was he as big of an icon when you played as he was by the time the 70s came, or was at that point, was he was a good football coach, but not think about it. Like his picture's behind you.
Yeah, that's the beginning.
Logo.
That's the beginning of him going into that.
When did you realize you played for one of the guy?
I guess after I matured a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And was able to, put things in context.
Right.
And in their proper perspective. But people ask me all the time, they said, would you ever talk to Coach Bryant? I said, talk to all the time. I talked to him, and they said, really, what'd you say to him? I said, yes, sir. No, sir. My God, I'll do better next time. I said, you don't understand. Coach Bryant didn't want me for a friend.
Yeah.
All he wanted me to do was go out there and knock somebody down.
Yeah. Did he? It's one of the things we talk about is that Coach DeBoer doesn't cuss, and Nick Saban cussed a lot. What was Bear Bryant like? I'd imagine he had a mouth like probably
salty.
me.
He had some phrases.
Oh yeah.
He had some phrases.
Who was the guy on your team that he did? I'm sure there was somebody on his team he rode their ass all the time.
Oh, all the time.
Jake, do you have a guy on that Saban got on with you guys? Because there's always somebody,
I mean, if you gave me a minute to think about it,
that means he probably liked them a lot, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's not like what somebody might think that's a bad thing.
He was on Lane's ass all the time.
Well, that's a different story. that's a whole different story right there.
But I think Coach Bryant had different ways of handling people. if it bothered him when you had somebody that had a tremendous amount of ability,
Mm-hmm.
but didn't display it all
Wow.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
He expected more out of them. The other guys, some of them, like myself and all, a pat on the back or attaboy would do me a lot of good, because I tell people that two things kept me from being a pro player: size and ability. Outside of that, I had the total package.
You had everything.
So I was just glad I was just proud to play.
Yeah,
I
oh, yeah.
wanted to play.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I wanted as much action as I could get.
Jimmy, if you gave Coach DeBoer some advice, my advice to him would be recruit the hell out of Alabama, because this is a different place, and you got to have these guys. You want to beat Auburn, you need Alabama guys. You don't get those Alabama guys and you lose that game, forget about those 3 games at the beginning of the year. You start losing that game, and you're not going to be around long. You've been an Alabama football fan. You played there, national champion. What advice would you give Coach DeBoer?
I would tell him to get close, and he did in late January. I saw him, and he was in Montgomery at the big Alabama Football Coaches Association meeting.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to embrace and get close to the high school coaches.
Yeah.
And I would tell him, embrace and promote the Alabama culture, the tradition, the history. It's not just by chance that they have where legends are made.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We are the flagship. We are the capstone. And we have a rich, rich tradition and history. And I would tell him, talk to some of the guys. Alabama football is a family affair. It's a family. This guy and I are brothers, but we got the A club.
Mm-hmm.
He has put those silks on, same as I did. He stepped across that chalk into the arena and fought his guts out for the University of Alabama. Push that. It's a family. And these guys, I love to go. Kim will tell you, I love to go to the A Club meetings, when we have socials and all. And when I'm around the guys that I played with, you don't shake hands. You hug each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think about guys that I love to talk to. And, I was thinking about him day before yesterday, Roosevelt Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot be around Roosevelt Patterson without having a smile on your face.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's an A Club brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's family, and it means something. And there's mutual respect. I think that Jake has respect. The fact that you got championship rings, you won games, you played at Alabama. I know I do for him. I pull for him.
I got a lot of respect
and
for
enjoyed.
Well, he's talked about you coming on here for months.
Enjoyed watching, but it's a family. And,
yeah.
And a lot of colleges and schools don't have it.
No, I just had this conversation.
That's what I mean.
So I've told my cousin that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't want to influence him too much, but I'm like, don't ask me if you don't want to know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to make his decision for him.
No, it's like
he's like,
I
you
was
love it.
sitting
I'm
in
like, oh, I love
my
it.
wife and I went to Nashville. Just took her up there before we had our first child. And a guy walks in. I'm eating lunch with my wife, and he looks over, Roll Tide, and I'm like, we just became best friends.
Roll Tide right back at you.
Yeah, you'll see it everywhere you go. If you got something in Alabama, that you'll see people and they'll say Roll Tide.
Oh yeah,
and but I hope Coach DeBoer does not get upset. But I know he's got to recruit, and he's got to get these groups behind him.
oh yeah.
And I'm impressed with him.
He's a great hire. I mean, come on, you know that. But
I watched his teams play. I watched him in the first game against Oregon, and of course, I was pulling for Washington because hell, I was anti.
Michigan,
Texas, Oregon.
Oh yeah.
The quarterback. Who's the quarterback?
Bo Nix.
Bo
Yeah.
Nix.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm for Washington. And
Too much Auburn there for you.
yeah. And,
It's like the Auburn mascot went to play football for the Oregon Ducks.
so, but when I heard that DeBoer, he beat him last year in the regular season. He beat him this year. Beat Oregon this year in the regular season. He beat him in the championship game. He beat Texas in a bowl game last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Texas this year.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good hand.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
That's a pretty good hand to hold when
Well,
you name the head coach. That's two good programs.
Oh yeah, I think I mean, everybody was talking about Dan Lanning, and I mean, I was too back before we knew who was coming.
Oh yeah,
and then
I'd like to have had that Lanning,
but I didn't know that. At the time, I didn't know that DeBoer had beaten him 3 years in a row.
Yeah. 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Well,
two,
at least two.
three,
2 years in a
2
row,
years.
3 games in a row. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm for him. I just hope he just can stay the road. But recruiting is the key, and recruiting your own backyard.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what Saban came in and did.
Yeah.
He wasn't messing around.
No. It was like Lance Thompson when he was at Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
And he said, we need to build a fence around Tennessee and not let Coach Saban in.
Yeah, because he's not the guy he's coming to take is the guy that you need on your team.
Oh yeah. And you can't beat him in a room. I don't care who you have.
No.
It's funny. I had my in-home visit. It was Lance Thompson and Coach Saban. He was talking about that story.
Oh yeah.
Lance.
Where's Lance at now?
He was at South Carolina last I heard, but I'm not sure where he is now. He was I love Coach Thompson.
He's like there's like legends in recruiting, like Ronnie Cottrell, who's over in Mobile now.
Yeah.
I talked to him on like this NSP show one time, and I'm like, oh, I know who you are. One of those guys that just knew, like they used to talk about him knowing kids when they were sixth grade.
Oh yeah, some guys committed to Tennessee, then all of a sudden he's the Ronnie, and you're like, how'd that happen? Are you going back to any games this year? You going to go to the spring game this year?
I don't know when the spring game is.
April 13th.
April 13th.
Oh, is it the 13th?
And then the transfer portal for the spring opens up on like the 16th, maybe the 15th.
I will. going over the 16th, the 13th is a day. The 20th, my class, my high school graduating class, decided to hell with tradition. We are going to, we all celebrating our 80th birthday.
Yeah.
So we're going to get together April the 20th.
Nice. There you go.
And have a 62nd year reunion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For us. And then I think, don't we have to go to Tuscaloosa to the 30th or the 27th, 28th, or go someplace?
Oh, yeah. The wedding.
West Rachel Perkins, Ray's
Okay.
Oldest daughter is going to be, we're going to Nashville. Yeah, I knew we were going to the wedding.
You sound like me. I got to lean over and ask my wife where we're going every weekend.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think I brought her with me?
Yeah.
She's my navigator. She's probably going, before long, she's going to be my chauffeur. But won't be driving Miss Daisy, it'll be driving Mr. Jimmy.
That's great. All right. Well, when are we going to tee it up again?
I don't
At
know.
some point, or when you coming out? You have to ride around the A Club tournament with me.
Well, I came to the last two. I just didn't play. But I look forward to visiting with everybody. Get to see you and all the guys. A bunch of former players and different people. I always look forward to seeing Gary Phillips.
No, yeah.
Dr. Phillips, even though I see him either once or twice a year, but that's business. That's not social.
You got any good on-field stories in Namath and Stabler? I'd love to hear how they were on the field.
I tell you, Joe's funny. When I was a red shirt, Joe put me in my place quick. I figured out, you are here, he's here.
Mm-hmm.
We'd gone up Friday to Legion Field and stopped there to work out before we went to the hotel before the game the next day. And Joe was we were doing, loosening up, throwing and all, and I was snapping the ball to him. And there were a bunch of people coming in, how the people are. Hey, Joe, ain't nothing. And I kind of looked back, wasn't all the way down. I kind of looked back and I said, Joe, your public's calling for you. And he pushed me down. He said, who in the hell do you think they'll be hollering for? Jimmy Carroll? I knew then there was a pecking order. And I was at the bottom. Stabler, there's too many to tell about him.
I think Stabler, we talk about our favorite Alabama quarterbacks, which I said was Tua, but I don't even think about Snake, just because I didn't see him play.
Mm-hmm.
But he's probably my all-time favorite Alabama player.
Snake was fearless.
Just because I like drinking beers with
radio's
him.
not on this. Radio's not on this.
No.
Okay, good. So I can tell this story. We're in Senior Bowl. I think you were with me. We're out at the country club, Senior Bowl week, one night, something. And Stabler comes in, and that's not his first stop. And he's hollering, JC, there he is, there's JC. And he said, let's do it now. I said, Snake, if I get down, I don't know if I can get back up, Mom. And Rose comes walking. His wife, when he was married to Rose, he said, Rose, come over. He said, this is JC. Said he was my offensive center at Alabama. And he said, you know, I probably had my hands on his ass more than I have yours. And Rose had probably heard it before or whatever, but she looked at him and said, Kenny, the last 5 years, I can believe that. That's the way Snake was. He'd say anything at any time.
Perfect for this show, too. Try hanging out with him twice a week.
Oh, gosh.
The guy just, you met him one time and you felt like you knew him your whole life. Like,
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't know he was a superstar, you did, you know what I mean? He was like a normal guy, but he wasn't, you know, like normal as in like just a normal great guy. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
but then you go like around him and it's like larger than life. Like he's the Harry Carey of the Alabama football program. I mean, like where he didn't meet a stranger, you know, like he knew everybody's hometown, where they came from. Like he would talk to them and take time for everybody.
I loved him when he was on the radio.
Oh, me too.
Oh.
That's the best
but
it's ever
let me
going to
ask
be.
you, what did you hear the news today? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I honestly, I mean, I would love to hear what your opinion is. You know, I mean, I hate that, you know, you have change in life, but you know, when it was Eli and Snake, I mean, that was as good as I've ever heard.
Oh, it was a
radio.
heyday.
That
It's
was
the best
great.
football broadcast ever. I kind of wish that Eli wasn't on a campaign tour, but because it's life isn't always fair, you know. But don't make my university look bad. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. You know, of course, I lived through it. And I worked with Perkins 4 years, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of criticism, you know, when John Forney
Was a great one too.
was replaced. But, you know, John had that stroke,
Yeah.
and he wasn't the same.
Oh, that's how
Because they
Eli
tried
was too.
They tried to come back, but Ray had his own ideas,
Hmm.
and he wanted Paul Kennedy
Yeah, another great one.
to do that. And but I don't know. I just Chris Stewart has paid his dues.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love Chris.
He has been there. I mean, for basketball, for other sports,
Baseball. I know him from.
Baseball.
I mean, Chris.
Yeah.
You know, guys know I'm good friends with Chris too. I used to work with him on baseball. You know, I love Chris, but
Oh, yeah.
I respect Eli too. But I don't like
I
what he's doing right
respect
now.
him.
Yeah, I don't know.
My opinion is I don't want to spoil what you guys think though. So
No, I mean, I look. Each era has to come to an end, and once you can only do home games and things kind of become a mess. And I didn't listen to the broadcast as much this year as I have in the past, but Chris's calls to me are hard to beat now. Just so energetic,
he's good
so
at it,
high,
man.
so
Yeah.
high energy that, and his. I love what was it after the Iron Bowl or. Hear what game he was like?
let's
You're
get
not
out
gonna
of
be
here.
able to keep him off the field tonight.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
And then bottom in the basketball. We've said that I don't know how many times.
We were doing a baseball game at Clemson, and we'd done a couple seasons together. And baseball is my thing, but I was on there with him, and it was his show, and I know baseball better than he does, and I would mute him and tell him what was going on sometimes, and he'll tell you this. I mean, I just know it,
Yeah.
And I love him. And there was this time we're getting our butts kicked by Clemson, game 2 of the Super Regional, and I said something like, "If you're just tuning in," and he goes, "Tune out." And I couldn't stop laughing. I'd like push the mute button, and I would try to go again. And we're down like 17 or something. I mean,
Oh, wow.
And he said that, and it really was one of the funniest things, if not the funniest, that I've ever had somebody say to me on the air on a sports game. The timing was perfect. Everything, man. I like both guys, but I love Chris. You know?
I'm the same way. I mean, some of my favorite Alabama football memories have a lot to do with Eli's call of a game, you know. But I've also, I mean, Chris was there when I was playing. Did a lot of interviews with him. I've heard him on the radio. I love him. He's just Alabama through and through, and that's what you want. You know?
Yeah.
Even as a player, he always had your back, and he was always supportive of who he was calling. You know, and that means a lot to me. I think when a commentator has that much love and pride for the university that he represents, and cares about the players, he's obviously what you see is what you get with Chris, and I think so highly of him. I'm excited for him. And this day was coming. We knew it was eventually coming.
Yeah.
I hate that it's getting spoiled like this for him.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me.
I don't like any kind of controversy. I think we ought to just be.
He had a really good long run, you know.
36 years.
Yeah, I look, man. Take the parade and enjoy the time. He would have gotten honored, and everybody would have been like, "Hey, man, tip the cap to him."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what he's doing to me is just not the right way to do it. Yeah. I think you just life isn't fair all the time, but you know what? It's Chris's time now.
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, he was only going to go one more year. That's what I heard that on Feinbaum's show.
Yeah.
That they wanted him to do the 8A game and then bow out gracefully, get the applause.
Yeah.
But he wanted to come back and do one more year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's one more year?
Yeah. I can see it. I can see it either way.
But I don't want any controversy. I don't want anybody just talking about it. But the radio is different nowadays.
It is
because with all the games on TV, I know Kim got started when Kenny was. But she'll stay in the bedroom and listen to the radio with the TV turned down.
Oh yeah.
I'm in the den watching, unless it's Gary Danielson, then I got
to turn that off.
I got to turn him.
I
off.
agree with that. I'm with you on that one, Jimmy.
I watch. But used to games weren't on TV. You listen to the radio. You listen to the radio, and you knew, and you think back. Gosh, there was a guy from Mississippi State that was a great radio announcer.
Yeah, I remember him.
Guy from Tennessee.
Oh, that's John Ward.
John Ward.
I met him.
It's football time and East Tennessee.
Yeah, he's a great broadcaster.
And what's his name from Georgia?
Yeah, Larry Munson.
Larry Munson. Oh, hey, who was it? We stepped on their face with a hobnail boot. But these guys, and the guy that used to call for LSU, I used to. They always played at night, so you always got to listen to the LSU game. In fact, I remember riding around in Enterprise, Alabama, listening to WTIX out of New Orleans the Halloween night that Billy Cannon returned a punt 89 yards against Ole Miss, and they won the game 7-3. And what they don't say is that they stopped Ole Miss on about the 2-yard line going in for a touchdown at the end of the game.
Wow.
But Billy Cannon made his name that night.
Now, there's an art to it for sure. To lock people in and have them listen and be
to
interested.
Describe it so you can actually see it. And I remember the guys, and I remembered a guy's named Simpson Pepper. I remembered him. He was a principal when I was in Birmingham at Jones Valley, but he was the announcer for Legion Field, the press box announcer.
Oh, cool.
And then whoever called is before Forney.
You like
Who called?
Mel Allen? Do you? That would have been before
Mel,
you.
I know Mel. No, this was a guy in the '60s, but he caught a lot of flack because I thought it was the greatest thing around. He'd say, you know, Auburn sends in Jackie Burkett, Alabama sends in Leroy.
Yeah.
That's all he had to say.
Yeah, but you know what? There's guys that's just all you need.
Everybody knew who Leroy was.
Yeah, you didn't need to say
They
Bryce
won by
Young.
one.
Yeah, right. Bryce
Leroy
Young.
Jordan, number 50.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you get to that point.
I'll never forget. I got a ride up to and reported to Alabama my freshman year a day early because some guy was coming up for a fraternity party, you know. So I went over and checked my stuff in. I went over to the practice field, and I was standing there at the gate. And Goostree came up and told me, said, let him in. I told him, you know, I got a ride up. I was coming. I said, Coach, where's Leroy? Show me Leroy. He looked at me and he said, son, you don't look for Leroy, you listen. And about that time, Coach Brown was up on that tower, and he had that bullhorn, and they were running an outside drill or something. Fullback was leading, blocking on the linebacker, and they pitching the ball to the tailback. And Leroy forearmed the fullback, and bam, he unloaded on that back and all. And after about 2 or 3 of those, Coach Bryant said, Leroy, get your ass down to polish before you kill somebody. I mean, Mr. Jordan was well known.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. Great time, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in here,
Listen,
Jimmy.
I appreciate it. And oh, mate, I'm not even going to joke about it. I was going to say, where's my NIL?
Yeah. Let's get you hooked up, man. Hey, Jimmy Carroll, thanks for coming on with
your
us.
eligibility's right.
Yeah. 6. We appreciate it, guys. That was Elephant in the Room, Jimmy Carroll. Thanks for hanging out with us. Roll Tide.